Yeah, I think 9Z is a really good team. They run a lot of unique comps, and they have a lot of firepower on the team. Really strong aimers. We were watching the Double O Nation match, and they actually ended up beating 9Z. So if you do the math there, it looks good for us.
Tenemos muchas mejores expectativas, ya que contra 0-0 nos conocíamos, les jugamos durante todo el año y sabemos que es un matchup un poco difícil para nosotros. Sin embargo, hemos visto a los chicos de The Ward y no creemos que sean muy buenos jugadores, entonces vamos a estar muy motivados por ese partido.
I think they are good. They've shown that they can take maps off really good teams. So I think with that said, it really shows that they're a good team and they deserve to be here just like us.
Para salir con la victoria en la partida contra The Ward, siento que lo mejor que podemos hacer es entrar confiados, sabiendo que somos mejores, ya que los hemos visto jugar, los conocemos y entendemos cómo juegan, y si bien tienen experiencia, sentimos que jugamos mucho mejor.
At an all-time high for this event, it's kind of like a do-or-die event, right? It's the biggest one of the year for us. So we're giving it our all, and a big thing for us is if we're giving our 100% effort, you have to be confident. You're giving it your all. You're here for a reason, and it just makes us feel good.
And we are back and just about ready to jump into our second game of the day here between 9Z and the Guard. And man, what a difference of approach. When you look at the two teams, you hear Valen, he's like, I think they're a really good team. Like, we saw what they did, but by chain logic, we should be able to beat them. And 9Z's like, nah, they suck. Like, we're way better. We're totally going to win. We're super confident. We saw how they play. They're not that good. It is kind of wild to see the dichotomy of these two teams, the way they approach just the mental aspect of feeling confident. But when you look at the Guard, you can understand why they might feel confident. This team has the tenure, the history. They've played on LAN in the past, and their opening match looked pretty good, Roy. So ultimately, I look at the Guard. They are feeling pretty smooth moving into this event. Maybe not showing the same problems that M80 did in their opening day bodes well for them in the long run.
Yeah, and the Guard is one of these teams, Bach, where like you look at their previous series, you see that Jonah P and Trent popped off. They had an impeccable series, so many clutches coming out. Then you look at the series before that, oh, it's another two players that popped off. You look at the series before that, oh, the IGL is popping off. Like, they're the kind of team that just, you never know who's going to be taking over the game. They all have that potential in them, despite like even there's no IGL crutch either. Like, they're on top, like in terms of like strategy, in terms of firepower, I think they're pretty well matched against 9Z.
Coming into today, Jonah P, after that opening series, was the #2 ranked player, I believe, in ACS, #1 in KD. He was sitting behind Trent in some stat categories. Askia has slid into that spot a little bit in between the two of them to break apart the two players. But Starry, looking at Jonah P's performance, it was pretty incredible. He looked rock solid, and like Roy said, the clutches were off the charts.
Yeah, Jonah P was absolutely popping off. Like, not only was he setting up his teammates, but his individual plays and his clutches were just insane to watch.
Probably one of the better Sky players from North America. The way he was approaching it, just great utilization of his utility. It's not just dry fights. It's not like he's actually going nuts early in the round either. If you actually looked, I think in the second map, which is a rare statistic, he didn't take a single first fight. He was not killed. He was not killing. He never took a first fight. I don't think I've actually seen that before from a match at this caliber, because even if you're caught off guard by someone playing aggressive, you'll get taken down, and that's a first fight, even if you weren't trying to take one. But that never happened here for him, and it put him in a great position. He was frequently in the clutch seat as a result, and he was able to grab rounds away from their opponents that they should have otherwise won. Now, looking at 9Z, though, 9Z is a team that I feel like maybe came in a little bit soft in their opener. A lot of people probably look at that game and think, oh, 9Z, not all that great. They lost to 0-0 Nation. But it was pretty clear to me that 0-0 Nation had done their homework and was very well prepared for what 9Z was going to do. And you could see it in just the way that 0-0 Nation approached the game. But I kind of wonder if 9Z is going to do the same thing here because of the fact that the Guard is a team that's been around for such a long time. There's so much to take from what we've seen from them already.
Yeah, I feel like when we're talking about 9Z, it's really like easy to say like, oh, they're running out these off meta comps. They're running these like kind of like KO on Haven, KO on Bond, and they have like all these sort of like off meta comps. I think it's easy to think like, oh, they have some like wacky playstyle, but no, they run these off meta comps, but they still play them in a really dynamic way. They don't feed completely into their composition. They still play like tactical FPS games. They still play fundamentally. They have defaults, they have set plays, they have like all of these things that make them relatively difficult to play against. And on top of that, they have players like David, for example, who is a controller player, yet he's popping off constantly.
Every once in a while we get that, though. We get a little bit of a taste of a controller player who can pop off. One of them is actually playing on the opposite side. And you're looking at VALORANT, who's a guy who has definitely stepped up in the past when necessary. We'll take a look at the picks and bans to see where this series goes. Not really all that surprising to see the Pearl ban come out right off the rip. That's something we've seen pretty consistently from the Guard. They don't want to play that map. We'll end up on Ascent and Lotus to kick things off. The Lotus pick is actually more of an interesting one because 9Z is not necessarily super, I don't want to say competent, but they just don't seem to play it a whole lot. It was actually a commonly banned map going back to Split 2. If my database is correct here, they banned it 7 times. That's a pretty aggressive ban, and that was all in the first ban phase. So the fact that we're going to see Lotus in the series is a little bit interesting. I wouldn't have anticipated that. Ascent coming through, maybe also not what I would have expected, but not necessarily an off point because of the fact that, let's be real, Roy, the Guards map pool is pretty deep. They only have like 1 or 2 maps they're not really super good on. Say Haven's maybe a little bit rough for them at times, and Pearl is just a map they don't play.
Yeah, I also can't remember the last time that the Guard picked Ascent. I think they picked it maybe once or twice in the recent season, but
none.
It's not really no times, eh?
None.
Yeah, so it's not really a map that they're usually picking, and it's kind of unusual because if you look on the other side for 9Z, they're 3-0 on Ascent, and they run a really off meta comp with the Raze Viper composition. So I think it'll be interesting to see whether the Guard has made an adjustment to their composition on that map or if they've made any sort of change in their game plan. I think the first map is going to be wild.
Overall, I do feel like the pool works out kind of split because of the fact that Ascent is a map that 9Z has liked to play. It's not to say that it's not a map that Guard likes to play, but it's just kind of catching us off guard. And as we take a look at the agent picks and bans, these players are eager. Starry, they just want to get into the game. They don't want to wait.
Yeah, I mean, they've been waiting for this matchup. They're excited to show off what they can do. I mean, 9Z didn't have the greatest start, so maybe they're looking to kind of get that, run and start today.
Roy, just initial composition changes, anything that we should be keeping an eye on when it comes to the agent comps?
I don't see anything different really for either of the teams, to be honest. Obviously, the Guard had a different composition with the Viper, but they're sticking to the cookie cutter with Sova KO, and they're going to go with what's comfortable for them.
Well, as it seems as though the players are just about ready to jump in, we'll go ahead and hand things over to our casters. Dryad, Tanner, thoughts on the Guard versus 9Z?
Dryad, I'm going to need you to give it to me a couple of times on the day so that way we can get it down because I got big shoes to fill sharing the desk with you. The Guard versus Nueve Zeta.
Nueve Zeta.
It's a fun one in terms of what Nueve Zeta bring to the table, especially here on the defensive side. Astra Viper, they force the chamber. Thule is always on this Raze. This is comfortable for them and probably very uncomfortable for the Guard.
For these guys of Nueve Zeta, it seems like they were always kind of the visionaries. They never stopped playing this chamber meta. They always kept playing it, and they were playing it since the beginning. Now it makes a lot more sense. We've seen a lot more teams kind of introduce this idea since he got those buffs. But for these guys, it's very familiar as well, so they have some cool initiatives that they like to bring.
Yeah, the Guard have done a good job, though, thus far, beating out the utility out here towards the A site. Viper Wall doesn't quite extend this far, and with that, it's been open for business. A spike planted here. The Guard now 5 alive, get to hang on. Tex, though, the first erase. Misu can make quick work of that one. And the battle back is right here. Nueve Zeta doing everything they can to try and dig out this attacking side as Trent will find himself the last one standing. Recon in just a moment. Shock darts out, that's good damage. Ooh, good damage just about onto both players here. They're low, the classic in hand. If there's ever anybody to do it, it's Trent. And inside the smoke, the spike, it goes all the way, and the pistol belongs with Nueve Zeta. Trent finds a kill, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, as a pistol here going for the side of the defense, and we get to see a lot of action right away. It just seems like it's only a tease of what we can expect for this map and for this match. I'm so excited to see how it's gonna play out for these teams. I know we got to hear Valen gonna talk about it, saying, because they won against the team that Nova Zeta lost again, and it was looking pretty good. Kind of like a weird math that he was making. That in a way makes sense. But Nova Zeta, this is a team that you cannot underestimate. These guys were always at the top. And when you think about it, it's not only this year, it was last year as well. When you were thinking about the best teams in Latin America, it was Crew, it was Leviathan, and guess who was next? It was Nova Zeta, always there, putting up a fight, and actually winning a couple big matches against these teams and these players that you see in that tier 1 level today.
And look at this on the opposite side, though. Nova Zeta taking the pistol round, but a force as Tex goes inside the Cloudburst. Thule tries to deal with him. It's only a Spectre here for the Jets. The Spectre is enough to find the first. Kills look to get traded. Back into guard out on top. Misu just sending the bullets from that Marshall. Not a whole lot landing, and that means the B site, much like the pistol round in the A site, it's been taken by the guard, but now they have to hang on.
Hang on, but they do have the numbers here, even though a little bit of damage taken pretty much by everybody for that 4v3.
Trent playing very disconnected from this one. He doesn't have any util to really be able to play off the site like this. Maybe a recon bolt coming back, but how much is that going to do for him? They've sniffed him out and taken him down. They got 3 kills on the round. Damage mitigation here for Nova Zeta, and they'll find themselves their second.
It's a quick reaction too. I feel like it really compares to even the match that we were watching before when we were watching Fusion, the other Latin American team. And those retakes, they were taking a lot longer to have those done. But for Nova Zeta, you can expect kind of the fast pace that they're willing to match up. That's why I think this match is so interesting. These are 2 teams that are able to mix kind of some creative styles, some creative compositions, also right into the comfort and the calm right before the storm. So for Nova Zeta, looking pretty good right now. They get to 2 rounds. And they're gonna have a rifle here in the hands of David on the Astra here.
And this really just another, although the last one was an anti-eco, they've been given an anti-eco here in round 3. They gotta push this all the way down mid. Will eventually be answered, but 2 kills thus far. Misu gonna try for the next, and it's not the Headhunter this time. It will be the Spectre that closes the door in the face of Jonah P.
1 enemy remaining. Down mid.
And it looks so clean right away for Misu. 3 kills. Those Chamber is able to secure net, the last one alive for this side of the guard. And a 1v3, only a Sheriff is gonna be available. 1 HP to everything seeming to go against a Killjoy.
And you'd almost think, send Misu that way, right? Let's get another Altor. But this economy that just continues to keep stacking for this team, let's get that tour de force online. Net trying to make the play through the spawn. Rupgoide is there to sit him down, make sure no more damage dealt. And 3 rounds in a row for this Nueva Zeta squad who, I mean, this is scary. Again, like, obviously when you look at it numbers-wise, number 1 LATAM versus number 2 NA. Number 1 should beat out a number 2. But Valen said it, right? We beat 0-0 Nation. They lost to 0-0 Nation. This should be a game that we win.
Yeah.
But a map that we didn't see was Ascent. A map that was actually banned away by Nueva Zeta was this Ascent map. And I think this is why. They didn't want to show their hand too early.
They don't want to show it, right? But they've been playing this composition for a while. And again, they've been playing this chamber since the beginning of the split. Since even in the preseason that Latin America had. So a team that is comfortable with it. Trying to meet that aggression, actually, the guard this time around. And they're good for it towards mid.
Yeah, they do a good job, obviously, dealing with 1 player inside B main. He's still here, 1 pip away from that tour de force. Just around the corner is Net. Looking to be the catch-all here, Sentinel versus Sentinel. Meanwhile, Goide in a tough spot. He's found himself all on his lonesome. Spike is here, though, in the hands of Valens, and he's been taken down. Fortunately, the rest of the map is being played by the rest of the members of the guard. Tech's there for the trade, and finally this attacker on the board.
It's all good, completely surrounded as well. As the last player of Nova Zeta ends up going down, and the guard securing the first round of the last day of the group stage for Ascension. A guard trying to go 2-0, make it easier for the standings, making sure that they are able to secure it. And a guard too that we need to talk about. The topic of conversation that has been, who has the most LAN experience? Is there a team that doesn't have any LAN experience? Is the team that has the most LAN experience? This guard squad, they have international LAN experience. And you can see it by the way that they play, the way that they talk about these teams. They look always calm and collected.
Yep, kills swing the way of the defense for now. Oh, they gotta try to get some more, but neutralize. Resurrection though, and Davida's here. Picks up 2 kills for himself. Paint shells that one over the top. That'll zone things out. Nobody home.
Standing.
And now Net has to try and pick up the pieces. It was fast for the guard, but the answer was even quicker from Nueva Zeta.
And that's been the story so far. And not only for this match, but everybody that has had to face Nueva Zeta, including Fusion for those finals, but all the Latin American style teams, they have an idea on how they want to play. They have an idea of maybe the flanker that they're going to send on a different mission this time around being Net.
Remaining.
The way, okay. But it ends up being met by the aggression. It got a little too close for comfort, but Rupko is going to take care of it just fine. Net ends up going down. And it's a 4th round here for Nueva Zeta.
And Force picked up. It looked like the guard maybe had found their footing in that round prior, but this one swinging back in the way of the defense. Almost getting it back. The Desk talked about it, right? Both of these teams have some players that are big in clutch situations. This one just narrowly escaping the grasp of Net, but it does keep that lead growing for Nueva Zeta. Now we've got ults for ults. Blades are online. Misu backs away. Doesn't want to take the fight out towards mid, but Tour de Force still in his back pocket. And Rupoida about to be maybe overrun here. Yeah, damage is there. They've been backed away from this A side. Ultimate spot out. The guard have done good to buy out some of these ultimates, but they're still in their spawn.
And even then, right, is those Seekers that you get pretty quickly, and it just forces them to back up. Now is the next ultimate, right, is going to be that lockdown being utilized by the side of the guard, just trying to make that space towards A, though we don't often see this ultimate towards A. Usually is on B. Can it be effective enough? You can still play towards Heaven.
Yeah, I mean, players are still here on the site. Defenders are still here on the site, but they're slowly but surely being wiped out. They got to the last one now, as that spike has not yet been planted. It fell on the floor for a moment, but Trent is there to clean things up. A scary spot to be. How many times have we seen teams move before the lockdown finishes? And an aggressive team, you know, like Nueva Zeta can be, are sitting there waiting for you to get a little over eager, and it looked like that was going to happen, but the guard do a good job hanging on.
Yeah, right away it was a positioning that we saw towards Heaven where the players could hold on for just a little bit long, and it was good for the trades, but it's still a guard that was able to close it out thanks to Trent. Trent as well, a player that deserves to be talked about, secures so many of these rounds on many different roles that we've seen him on, but mostly on the Sova. And it looks so clean. The way that he's constantly supporting his team, finding success, getting those clutches. A lot of people have been talking about him being the best player in North America. Not even tier 2, just all the way at the top. The flexibility, everything that he's shown is so good.
And so good, the start to this next round for the guard. Net, it's an early one. Onto one of the 2 controllers for the defense. So nothing tricky with this Viper wall that is splitting things up down A main, down mid. Tech's gonna try his hand. Good shot there. So erases one. Makes the numbers even. Oh, Aviso just gets caught trying to sneak into a good spot. Thule comes out, the rocket's there, but it splits everybody. Not even damage until the rifle gets involved. It's Trent to take a bit, but the A side, it belongs to the guard.
And the last 2 players here having to play together towards Heaven. A position that Trent already took.
There's nothing you can do. An operator, a guardian, and a 2v4. A Hunter Shuri as well. Trent obviously not playing for the Hunter Shuri, but you have to think that that is in the minds of the 2 that remain here for Nueva Zeta. So they'll hang on to what they have. Hope to keep that economy moving forward. And with that, they concede another one. So the guard bring us within 1 round.
Also remembering something that you mentioned for Trent and this Hunter's Fury. In a lot of these rounds, you actually see Trent using this ultimate aggressively early into the round. He gets a tag with his util, and then he uses the Hunter's Fury in an incredible way, pretty much always securing at least one kill with it. So something that you can expect both early on, but also if necessary for those post-plans, making sure that defuse is not going to take place for the other side.
Coming out of North America and having casted that scene, we have seen that there's not a lot of people that beat Tex on angles like that. So for Misu to be doing that, that's a scary place. That is something that's going to be sitting in the back of the mind of this Jet duelist for the guard.
Revealing area.
Every time they try and beat out this chamber on the opposite side.
Is an interesting matchup too for another reason, right? With a that likes to play this chamber, and when we remember the guards downfall right before that tier 1 tier 2 got established was that we're never able to adapt to the chamber meta, and everybody was one step ahead when it came to playing this chamber and to having kind of the upper hand with it. With a notice that playing this chamber, you gotta wonder how the guard is able to adapt.
Out of charges.
Paint Shell's out, and Trent was already hurt. That one hurts a whole lot more. Just on the corner, no way. Tex feeling the pressure here and loses a duel that was anything but losable.
With this share of 2, so that means the call once again for the IGL VALORANT to go to the other side of the map with 40 seconds remaining. There's a Cosmic Divide active right now, so not much that you can hear on the other side, but the positioning still being held by this offensive side.
Yeah, 2 defenders are here.
30 seconds left.
Ooh, Nanostorm at the feet of the chamber. No way! What a shot from Isu! He's been dealt with, but blinded up. He takes down 2. 20 seconds on the clock, and they still have to deal with another. Rukoida just buying time with the Guardian. And now Trent, I mean, how much can you do? What a turnaround. What a round for Misu.
When it seems like he was just going to die, right? There was a Nanostorm active. He was taking damage. He was forced to move out of that position towards market. But as he goes back, he shoots and gets 2 with the operator, both lining up for him. And like you said, that's the way to turn around
Spike down, B.
a chance like this one for the guard. Just insane, man.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's... If there was ever a shot, it was immediately stripped away. And I didn't hear if the desk was mentioning it, right? Because we don't necessarily, not all the time, especially if you're going to put anybody toe-to-toe. I know that the players we kind of highlighted were Jonah P. And Davids. But when you look now at this map, you're looking at Tex and you're looking at Misu, who are going to be filling kind of the same role for one another. And it's just continues to get frightening, right? Tex just has not been able to find that same value that this chamber has. And now my solo queue ranked games are going to be awful because this guy makes chamber look viable everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, I know we're seeing just this map number 1 for Novosita, but you also see it on Haven. You also kind of see it across. And again, this is something that they always had as part of the plan. Misu is so clean with it, and like you said, it is a good comparison, even though it's not obviously that duelist. It's both of the players that you expect to have an operator at hand and to hold those positionings and get value out of it. What a play! A set play that works perfectly. The paint shells as well. As the Viper, you tell nowhere to run, and Nat goes down.
And they have so many of those on every map, right? When they run the Raze, which is a map that you are an agent we're not really seeing on maps like this anymore. They just find ways to make it look so viable. So after all of this aftermath, 2 kills swing the way of the Webaseta. Tex gets a little bit of damage, but I mean, that is anything but a favorable trade.
I mean, just a beautiful set play at the beginning. It makes the job so much easier as well when you know the players are gonna kind of move around it, and guess who's waiting for you on the other side is Misu with the operator. Once again, that chamber that we just talked about. so dangerous, but it's still doable here for the guard. A 3v5. And that's a call to go in.
Yeah, I mean, only 3 players, though, means you only have so much util. They can't clear out every single angle, and because of that, Thule collects to a flawless round from the Nueva Zeta. I mean, after a timeout that was just taken from the guard, they try to find answers, and they were given nothing.
You saw the coach there talking for a little bit from that timeout. And it's another really interesting kind of idea, right? The mix between the set plays that you mentioned, right? Nueva Zeta has a lot of, and the more adapting mid-round that you see so much from the guard. And it's all thanks to VALORANT, right? One of the IGLs that people talk about the most. Always looking so clean, always kind of leading that team to victory. But again, this is a different challenge that they have to face, especially with this composition. You never really get to see it, especially in an A.
Nowhere to run!
Detects that crusty stinger, gonna try again. Oh my god! Jonah P cuts through 2. Tex somehow sneaks one out as well. I mean, the call has already been made to save the operator. Thule picks it up, walks away from it. They gotta also hanging out over towards this B site. Wow, what an explosive round.
Everything happened right away. For the guard, a fast entry towards A. They get that spike planted. All the kills go down. The 2 players that were towards Heaven didn't even have the time to react.
Misu trying to find the shot onto Jonah P to try and get the trade, and because of that, Tex was able to capitalize. Ooh, Net gives up too much of himself, clearing angles here on the site. And the players, we heard it in the last player cams after the last round. They're being vocal. They're letting each other know they're playing those mind games of the back and forth. Man, this is transitive properties doesn't always work. The I beat you, you beat him, so we should beat you type thing. We're seeing it play out right here. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. But the guard are hot on their heels. It's now only a 2-round lead for Nueva Zeta.
And you gotta wonder how many of these rounds the guard needs to secure, right, on this attacking side, knowing how strong the defense can be and is actually for the guard on this map. And I think for this composition in general, that has been the meta, especially North America, but I think overall you usually get to see a version of this. Nueva Zeta in the meantime, a different idea here, trying to slow down the push that attempted to come from Cad, and that's gonna be the Viper Spit activated there.
Yeah, and this Viper Spit, I mean, it makes it impossible to want to split this A site. You have to work so far through the pit. By the time you even get into tree, you're going to be decayed down to 1 HP. It's just not a fight you want to take. So if you're going to go, it has to be just like the guard have queued up here. No command is out. Tech's already through the U2. That means able to sneak away, but he's lower in HP. Survives for now with the paint shells. Looks to find some damage in response, but Jonah P down to 16 will collect the kill. And the A site has been opened up.
And you say the Viper Spit is there, so the split for A is a lot more difficult, but right from A main is a lot easier as we get to see the Astra kind of being caught off guard. Thule actually handling it just fine. At 3v2 out of nowhere. Trent gonna have to handle it with Net.
Last player standing.
Net just, I mean, a flash on the outside, a tap on the spike. Odin spam. Trent should be used to this one. Once more, gonna try his hand. Rupkoide. He's trying to guess. He's trying to pre-fire, find the spam, but Trent just a bit better. Hey, he's a Sofa player. He knows how those games are played.
In the half.
You talk about the mental games. You definitely see it there. Rupkoide on the other side, crouching, tapping it, trying to get the advantage as well, shooting a little bit too, a little bit of everything, but Trent once again coming up on top. Going back to what the desk was mentioning, right? The clutch players here that are kind of everywhere. All 5 players you kind of see right at the end of the round. This duel is maybe a little bit less, but with the way that the text is playing, I mean, what else can you ask for him? The way that he usually plays, kind of giving that space for the team, even if he's not good for his one, it seems like it does more than enough. Now, operator in the hands of this attacking jet. And a tour de force for Misu.
And a lot of players bring their stuffed animals into the player cams. Misu just brought the whole monitor into the player cam there. We didn't really get to see we didn't get to see the emotion from the guy, but how about this? From emotion to explosion. Thule goes up top, finds another Jonah P, make it another. The booms just don't stop, and this right here is a complete mental boom. Here in the round, Lockdown comes through, Valen takes the site, but a 2v5 will try and hang on.
I mean, tell me who. Wait, Net. Still with a chance, no way, he got 2. This is still doable. Misu though, gonna pick up a Phantom.
And they're trying to buy some time. Shorty in hand, so many smokes tossed out this way. Swarms will keep them at bay for now. So Valen not quite under fire. Alarm bot goes off and Net will find the spam. Now Valen, healthy as can be, will hold it down backside. Net will make himself, no, not like this. 4 kills away to Killjoy. And the guard may have found a way to win this round. A 2v5, it should be impossible, but they have done it. The ace for Net, the round for the guard, and we're tied up swapping sides.
And Net doing everything for that round. The ace that belongs to the Killjoy. In a round that seems like it was just not winnable at that point. Out of nowhere, he gets to handles the situation perfectly. Net, one of the players that we see alive right on till the end of those rounds, and that is the value that this guy can bring too. I feel like everybody talks about the guard, everybody talks about these players, but Net, I mean, the read that he has on the game is just completely unmatched.
What? I mean, and Valen was just a spectator. He was just a bystander there for that one. He just got into the site and planted the spike. That was all he needed to do for Net to essentially 1v5 there. Now we swap sides, and we see on the Webe set an attack because they've got a free A site, nobody home, and they'll get the spike planted.
This is what I was talking about though. How many rounds did the guard need on that attacking side? Because his defense is always seems like unstoppable, but it's 66 makes things even, and the spike already planted.
And flashed it out over the top. Thule put in a tough spot. Not spammed down, but will eventually go. And there are some trades. An early kill out towards mid from Isu finds him now the only one standing. An early kill. Needs to find a couple more. Gonna try and hang on as he takes the fight with Tex. Looks to play the jump peek. 2 players. Trent now gonna hold this one down. Tex will have the suppressing fire. Spike is halfway, and well, Trent didn't really trust his teammate. He hops off, but we'll get right back to it. This pistol belongs to the guard.
The headhunter not connecting the way the music wanted to for that round. Tries to get over the classic, but just not enough. So the guard finally getting ahead. And it's an area that they're used to, honestly. When we think about all the matches that we saw in Challengers for the guard, how many of them started with a guard down a couple rounds and then catching up, getting ahead? So many of them.
Good job, nice first play. Why are you talking?
Let them know, boys. I mean, that's
They're
been
feeling pretty comfortable, I think.
Yes. 100%. And that's been both ways that these players have been going back and forth, standing up and speaking to one another across the stage. So, yeah, the guard have been giving it just as much as they've been taking it. It's a force buy from the way they set the smokes. Allow them to live for now. Trailblazer only spotted 1. Shrouded step to safety for Valen, but it's not to safety. Trying to the welcome arms of Davids, and with that, I mean, the guard are starting to fall apart here. Things get wiry for just a moment. A rifle that was picked up, right? They gotta, will eventually be taken down. It's another retake situation. But Jonah P is in the belly of the beast. Beast is just on the corner, Dryad.
Trying for this area is still dangerous to deal with. Oh, manages to get 1, but his teammate went down 1v2, gets stacked. No way Trent does it. No way Trent does it. 4 kills. And the guard, they're gonna get the round.
And I mean, that is so textbook from Trent. The way that he played that clutch was perfect.
This guy, absolutely unstoppable. The Sova with the areas as well. When things seem to be going wrong, don't even worry. I mean, the way that he looks always calm, always knows that he's gonna get those kills.
Hey! Vandal on glass, Vandal on glass. Vandal on
Make sure you get the comms that matter in. Make sure you get those comms in. Man, yeah, that is... I mean, again, yeah, just textbook the way that Trent played that one. And because of that round win, because of the force, that much like we saw on the opposite side from the guard, they've been granted another round as a anti-ego, essentially. Ooh, and it's strength in numbers. Out towards Catwalk, meeting a few members of Nueve Zeta. Now Tex might be put in a tough spot. Trailblazer will force him back.
I can definitely see how the pace completely changed now for the guard as they are finally ahead, but would like to continue to do so. The buy is strong here with the rifles at hand. They're going the other way in the back. Gets Trent.
Yeah, Trent dealt with, but still players here. Tex gonna try and collect a few of his own, make it 3, almost a 4th, but it's Valen here to scoop up the remains of this attacking side. So a lesser buy around that. It was explosive, but it ends the way that we could have suspected. And now, at a 3-round deficit, Nueve Zeta get to actually play the game with rifles in hand.
It is a round where you're starting to wonder, is it enough? One of the things that we got to hear from some of the players of Nueve Zeta, I believe it was actually David that we got to hear from, was we need to come into this match against the guard with confidence. The confidence is going to be the difference maker, and with all the screaming, all the confidence, you gotta wonder if it stays alive for rounds like this one. Everybody getting taken down.
Yeah, I mean, the guard coming to this round saying, hey, you've got set plays, you've got tile hits from defense, so do we. And it pays off beautifully. And with that, a timeout called, 4 rounds trailing on the attack. I mean, yeah, it's just been so scrappy. I feel like neither team has had a moment to breathe. And in those moments, the guard have just seemed more comfortable.
Yeah, with that, it's a timeout from the side of Nueve Zeta. And we get to see a little bit of the coach, Romanili. Actually, one of the coaches that people in the region, they talk about the most. They respect him, they value him. Think about MCE last year for the guard. Kind of this guy that was on the come up, everybody would talk about him, and then he made it all the way up. That's how Latam feels about Romanili. They respect these crazy ideas that he brings, these crazy comms, but also kind of the understanding on the game that he has. And you can see it because he goes very, very close against the strongest teams in Americas, that being the guard right now. But a couple of rounds that kind of slipped away from Nueve Zeta, the confidence of the guard really kind of showing for the last couple ones, especially that last one, and trying to calm things down, trying to make sure that that momentum is stopped for the Latam team.
Turret out.
And now here it is, 1 orb away is Misu from the Tour de Force. It seems like they're going to try and fight for this one with rifles built around it. Ult's available as well. And Thule takes the first peek, but he's been erased. Valen also there, and he's here to collect 3 early kills, and the chaos doesn't stop. It doesn't matter if a timeout was taken, Dryad.
How is it that every single time in the second half, the guard has just had the perfect read? The first contact with the operator from Tex for this round, but Valen as well going for that TP and getting his couple kills. Living now that you got Enruko, the last ones live in rounds where players for Nueve Zeta, they're getting taken down in the first 10 seconds.
And that duel that was, I mean, heavily Misu favored is now becoming Tex favored, as he's been able to just post up on the angles and wait for Nueve Zeta to walk into him. They gotta just hoping to be able to hang on to these rifles, and I think the guard are happy to allow that to happen if it means securing another round.
30 seconds left.
Especially when it means securing these rounds that are the swing rounds for Nueve Zeta. The ones that give them kind of the start into some momentum when you think Finally, you're able to purchase to get those rifles, to get that economy a little bit more on your side. And guess what? The guard is right on the other side, already taking you down, making sure that the numbers advantage are never gonna go your way. So those big rounds that the guard have always been insane at winning. That has just been the story for the guard in North America. When things seem to go wrong, they're gonna get those big rounds, they're gonna secure them, and they're gonna get that economy on their side, the momentum on their side, the reads, everything that you can expect.
I mean, even if Tex misses that shot, what do you think Thule is thinking as he blast packs into an Omen that is shrouded stepping right into his face? There's just so much tossed out, and I wrote it in my notes. There is nobody that I trust more with a rifle and a blast pack than Thule. There's nobody that I trust more. Unfortunately, it's just fallen short here on the set.
Enemy tag.
Also, guess there's nobody that would trust more with an operator than Tex. That's
True.
That's just the way that it is. And when that matchup comes to live, you see how it plays out for Tex. Kind of absolutely feeling it for this one. And I'm gonna do so again. The duel that we saw going for Misu before, that's not happening anymore.
I've got your trail.
And the defensive sided off just a little bit better, posted up on the angle with that kill across the map though. Vavaseta looking to hit this A site and want to do so explosively with an early paint shells to allow them on the site. Shrouded step, no way. Valen with the reposition, and he'll find a couple of kills because of it. Make it 3 as Net will find the 4th, and it's a flawless entry into the 12th round win for the guard.
How is it possible for Valen to do that? He goes for that TP, that shrouded step, so clean. When the team needed that help, right? You saw the guard on this defensive side. 2 of the players getting spotted. 1 towards Dice, 1 towards Jenny, backing up because of the paint shells as well that were being sent.
1 enemy remaining.
And that Valen is there, steps up and goes right into the fight. 3 kills and 12 rounds now for the guard. 1 more in Ascent.
Wow. 1 more to go.
They're feeling
They're feeling it, and it doesn't stop there, right? Early in this round again. Misu falls to the hands of Tex with this operator. There has been absolutely no answer as Thule looking to take space. And that's gonna cut him down. I mean, the Viper's pit is here, but I mean, how much does it mean? It allows them to walk on, but they're just walking right into these members. Quick scope doesn't land, it doesn't matter. Closed out again, back-to-back flawless for the guard, as they have not only a flawless 2 rounds, but a flawless second half to take this map.
A flawless defensive side. I mean, a guard that seem to be at their prime right now. The way that they're playing, the way that they're kind of having the perfect read into these teams, and only 1 map away from securing that #1 seed of the group. I know I said that started so good. We got to see the first couple rounds.
Yep.
They were really back and forth. They came to a 2v2, to a 1v2. Anything could happen. But I mean, that defensive side for the guard is just a different story.
Yeah, and we know how much of a momentum-based game Valorant is. And when you allow Nets to 2v5, then you allow Trent to essentially, 1v4 on the round and retakes, I think that right there kind of spelled the victory for the guard, or at least started to, because they refused to give up. Everybody, I mean, we heard it in the player cams, we heard it, everybody vocal, everybody excited about what was happening, and they do it flawlessly in that second half. Now, we're not done just yet. We have more games to play, but obviously we got to throw it back to our analyst desk to break down Ascent.
Ooh, baby. That started very close. It was nice and even. It looked like the teams were evenly matched. The first half does go pretty balanced, but ever since that clutch, the ace coming in from Net, it was like a whole different guard. They had completely turned up, and honestly, it kind of looked like 9Z just shut down.
Yeah, 9Z had such a strong start, and Mizu was doing so much work as the aggressive chamber. They were really good at isolating that first pick. 9Z had really good set aggressive plays, like that round 9 set play where they threw the Viper Molly and the Raze nade and got to pick off Net, was just so beautifully done. But I think the guard was just kind of warming up, and once they got those clutches going in, I mean, there was that Trent 1v1 clutch. After that, it was like the Net and Valen 2v5 with the Net ace, and then it was a Trent 2v1 clutch. Like, I think that just completely shifted the momentum towards the guard.
I think the guards should start marketing their team as something else here, guys. They're good VALORANT professional players, but I think they're the best salesmen. They can close out any round with style. They're so good at closing rounds. They have some of the best clutchers in the Americas, period, in my opinion. And I mean, yeah, 9Z did have a lot of good showings. They had a lot of good ideas, but I feel like the guard, they're experienced playing against that Viper. They know how to shut down that double controller value, right? They're making these rounds on defense so fast, not letting 9Z execute any of their information denial, not letting them really take control of any part of the map. They're just like getting in their faces immediately, dismantling their numbers, watering down their sort of utility, and then going back into their sights, kind of like falling back into the final phases of the round. And you can just see like just the guard just constantly going for those aggressions, just not letting anything unfold naturally.
ABC VALORANT, always be closing. That was what we saw. The guard was definitely very difficult to deal with in the late round scenarios, at least in the mid game. Towards the end of the game, they were difficult to deal with completely. Everyone was stepping up. The vibes were astronomical. And anyone who's like, oh, you know, maybe they were a little BM. Remember in the video, they were like, this team's really good. We think they're going to be great. 9Z said that team's not that good. They effectively said, like, we think we're better. That's just part of the game. It's competitive atmosphere. You get hyped. You can sometimes get in your opponent's head. It's just the way that it works, and it clearly worked here because 9Z completely shut down. And you could just see it. They felt like confident coming in, but if you looked at them coming out of this match, super deflated. They did not look thrilled, and there's a lot for them to figure out as they go into the second map, which we'll be coming into in just a minute, but you can see how the performances stack up across the teams. Post plants, the few that they got for 9Z did not pan out well for them, whereas on the flip side, you know, the guard, Roy, had a little bit better conversion rate.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, in the first half, like, the guard was probably getting farmed on the first kills, right? Like, Mizu was getting so much value, but comes in the second half, it just felt like it was all, that's probably where they racked up most of their first kills, if I'm being honest, is that second half. So, I mean, kudos to obviously, we know we've watched the guard many times in North America. We know that their defense is really the scary thing about them, and they continue to prove why, really.
And again, the flexibility of the roster is one of the things that makes them so difficult to face off against, because it isn't just a one-man show. There's not one player stepping up. Look at the delta. 17, 16, 16, 17. Jonah P, yeah, finishes with 9, but I would love to see the assist count to see how he played a role, because he is typically the person who's leading that stat category. And also, honestly, you know, he's typically going to put up numbers. As Sky, KO doesn't always feel like he's really hitting his stride the same way. I do feel like his Sky is just insane, and we talked about that coming into this map. So it does end up being the map going the way of the guard. That said, it is a best of 3, and the pool is a little bit different than maybe some might expect. Map 2 is Lotus. That is going to be a 9Z pick. Even though you might think that Ascent was not selected by the guard, it was. It's definitely an interesting map pool that we weren't expecting to get, and there is a world where 9Z can take us to a third map. However, map 2 is also a good map for the guard. We'll find out what they bring to the table after this break.
I think we just have to be calm and be ourselves, because we are much better than everyone. My name is Gabriel González, my alias is Mizu, and I play Sentinel for 9Z.
Mi nombre es Gonzalo Funes, soy el IGR del equipo 9Z.
I think they gotta brings experience.
Bueno, yo seriedad, trabajo.
They need to be aware of how he pushes the sides and he moves the team along.
Mizu trae energía, autoestima.
I think I have very good timings and I know how and when to play, so they have to look out for it. Tuli is the duelist.
Tuli, aprendizaje y disciplina.
Against Tuli, they have to watch out for his aggressiveness.
De David y Tuli, Elaine.
David brings calmness, and they will have to be very aware of how he throws the smokes. Rubcoid is the initiator.
Rubcoid un poco más de seriedad y trabajo duro.
Rubcoid brings a lot of different things, but he's a very versatile player. They have to be very aware of how he aggressives in some calm escenarios.
Ahora lo puede llegar a pasar. Y ojo que Tuli tiene ganas de darlo tempranero. Si lo arranca Rubcoid, nada fragmentado, se va a asomar. Tuli que le pone el sombrero, repiquea. Va y no va. La fracción excelente a todos. Tuli mata a dos. Liga se responde. De ahora con la réplica.
Bueno, entré a 9Z hace aproximadamente 3 años. pasé por diferentes roles, duelista, humos, centinela, y en el último equipo quedé como IGL iniciador, así que desde ahí estoy con ese rol.
It's been 3 years since I've started competing, and I had a lot of up and downs, and I think right now I am going through a very good stage.
Pito que Matix rompió la pared. 2 para 2, el bloqueo de Matix. Le da vida, activa el ciclón, quiere pelear, no podía ante Vice.